Okay, hi. So this lecture is going to be about basic spreadsheet use. And if you've used spreadsheets even a little bit, you probably don't need to watch this, but I wanted to give an overview. Spreadsheets were developed in the early days of the PC revolution back in the late 1970s, early 1980s. Nobody really had a good idea of what to do with a personal computer. And I think people even made, very smart people at the time made the statement that there would never be a need for more than 1,000 or 2,000 computers in the whole world. And so people were kind of, they were playing, making games for them, trying to figure out how to do graphics, various things like that. And then somebody came up with the idea of the spreadsheet. And that revolutionized and made it so that now we have really the information and communications revolution that's come about from cell phones and computers in some ways can be traced back to the development of a spreadsheet, believe it or not. And the guy who invented the concept of a spreadsheet, his name is Mitch Kapor, and he was a TM teacher. And he started a company called Lotus 123. And at one point, Lotus 123 was bigger than Microsoft, bigger than Apple. It was huge, and it's the killer application that made personal computing happen. So let's see how a spreadsheet works and why it's so powerful and so ubiquitously used for so many different things. So one of the things to look at this spreadsheet is has cells. Each one of these individual things I'm clicking on is a cell, and it has an address. You see up here, this is a spreadsheet called Excel, and I'm going to illustrate some of these same principles on a free spreadsheet called Google Sheets. Part of the Google Office suite, and also you can use OpenOffice, a spreadsheet there. So this cell has an address. It's A1. So there's columns, and they go all the way from A, and if we go way out here, they start at the end of A, they start at AA, and they go out for 10,000 columns out this way. I mean, it's just this huge piece of paper, piece of paper that you can only see part of. So we're looking at just a small part of that paper. So then we have columns. We also have rows. So here's row 2, okay? And I can click all of row 2, row 3, and this goes down for tens of thousands of rows in this direction. You can see I'm already up at 500. So this is a very big piece of paper. And, and it has cells, and the cells have an address. So let's just do something very simple. Let's say that I have... Let's it's good to put a title on the project you're working on. So let's do light bulb analysis. And if you spell something wrong, it should tell you. Let's just do light bulb calculation. Okay, and let's put a few things. Let's say that we want to analyze how much energy we can save and what the cost of the saved energy, the negawatts, are from a high efficiency light bulb compared to conventional light bulb. So conventional light bulb, we'll start with that. Well, before I get too complicated here, let's just do a couple of simple things. So let's look at bulb watts. Okay. Here's the bulb watts, and let's say it's a 15-watt bulb. And let's look at the hours. Let's look at it. LED. LED. Let's put that down to 10. Let's put the compact fluorescent. Let's put that at 15 and 60 for incandescent or conventional. So these are 3 different kind of light bulbs. One's the high efficiency bulb. It only takes 10 watts to put out the same light as a conventional bulb takes 60 watts to do. A compact fluorescent can do that for 15. And let's just look at how many hours we're going to run these. Let's say we're going to run them for 10 hours. And then let's look at the watts. Let's look at the watt hours. Okay, so watt hours consumed. And so what we really want to do here is we've got the bulb watts times the number of hours, and we want the energy. So we've got the power, which is let's just make a note here that that's power. And we've got the hours. So the power times the time gives the energy. So we need to make a formula here. And so this is one of the neat things about spreadsheets. What they'll do is they'll automatically calculate this. So you start with a plus sign, and then you put in the address of the first thing. So the address here is B3. So it's B3, and then the times sign, which is just the asterisk, times B4. B4. See, this cell right here is B4, and notice it's highlighted those two cells for me. And then I just hit return, and it calculates the answer for me. So let's say if I want to see how much energy it's going to take if it runs for 50 hours. Whoops, I just spelled it wrong. 50 hours, and it's going to tell me. And let's say that I'm going to want to compare 10 hours on each of these bulbs. 10. And you see how I added this up. Now I could go over here and I'm going to show you another way to add it. I can just point. I can put a plus sign and point to the first thing. So I just move the cursor up to C3, which is the first thing I want to multiply. And I just click on it. And you notice that it shows up as C3. I didn't have to type in C3 because I can just point to it. And then if I put the time sign in and I point to the second thing, so I clicked on C4, it automatically types in the address for me. And I just hit return, and now I've got 150. And I'll show you one other way. Now what I can do also is I can copy this. I can say edit, copy. And it's not going to copy the number 150. What it's going to copy is the formula, the relationship. So what this is it's actually not the number 150. It's whatever's 2 cells above this times whatever's 1 cell above this. So 2 cells above this times 1 cell above this is going to give me the answer. And so when I copy it, it copies that same relationship. It says, okay, copy the 2 numbers that are above this together and put the answer here. So the copy function is very different than what you might think of. It doesn't actually copy the number, it copies the formula over. And that's another power of the spreadsheet. So again, that's some basic multiplication. Let's say we've got these numbers and we want to sum them. Sum of the energy of all these 3. So what we can do is we can just type plus 6d5 plus, whoops, plus c5 plus, and I'm going to use the pointing technique, b5, and I get the total right there. So I can sum. Now, another powerful function of a spreadsheet is that there are formulas. Formulas begin with the symbol at, and then there's a formula called sum. And then I put the typical format for formulas. Excuse me, let me start that again. We're going to delete that. And we're going to use a formula. And what formulas do is they do special functions like summation of a row or column of numbers, or finding the average of a row or column of numbers, or finding special functions like sines and cosines and squared and all those kinds of things. So let's just use a simple function called sum. At sum, you start with an at sign, that means it's a formula. And then formulas typically have some kind of what's called an argument. That starts with a parenthesis, and then I put the first, cell in the row I want to sum. So that would be B5. So I put B5, and then I put a dot to D5. That's the other. I want to sum all the numbers between A5 and D5. So D5. And then I do that, and boom. See, it summed them. In this case, I used a formula. And you can use formulas so often that there's a shortcut for it, and I'll show you that. So if I want to sum this, I can just go up here and click on auto sum. And again, you could do a sum, average, count the number of numbers, the maximum, minimum, all kinds of different functions. But I want to hit sum, auto sum, sum, and it's already going to assume that I want to add those together, so I don't have to put those in. And there it is. So you can use the sum function right here, or you can put that in. Or, again, I'm just trying to give you some idea of the power here and flexibility of a spreadsheet. So I'm going to go over and try this again with Google Sheets, but I want to get this up so that people can see it if you've never used a spreadsheet before. I encourage you to go look at Google Sheets. It's free online. and try to put together some kind of a spreadsheet that adds a few numbers. Just play with it.